House number is indicated on this canopy. According to the front elevation, the building will have a two-color decorative brick finish with single and triple casement windows on the second, third floor. Two small windows assuring adequate air and natural light to the northern staircase are also indicated on the upper floors. The proposed right side elevation indicates a stucco finish and single double casement windows on this side. An exterior door to access the refuse and recycle area is indicated on this elevation plan. The proposed left side elevation plan indicates a stucco finish and the new decorative masonry finish as well as single and double casement windows for this side. The rear elevation plan indicates a stucco finish and the rear egress door. The landing will be provided if required to match the existing grade. The height of the building is measured 31 feet. The intent of the RA-2 residential district of the 4th Ward Development Plan is to permit various types of dwellings. Vacant properties are scattered throughout this redevelopment area, awaiting for either demolition or rehabilitation. Several properties along this street to the east and west of the subject property, which are granted approvals for multifamily dwelling units by the Planning Board, are already built or under construction. An existing 3-story multifamily building exists to the east, the surface parking lot for the church exists to the west, and the 5-story Rising Dock Senior Apartments is to the north of this proposal. Some older residential dwellings are built on the front property line, as well as the newly constructed 42-unit multifamily building on 113 through 117 12th Avenue to the east of the subject property. The applicant requests variances for the following conditions for this proposed 11-unit structure. A minimum front yard setback of 3 feet is required and 0 feet is proposed. A minimum side yard setback of 5 feet is required and 3.09 feet is proposed on one side. A minimum rear yard setback of 20 feet is required and 8 feet is proposed. A maximum building lot coverage of 60% is permitted and 76% is proposed. 11 off-street parking spaces are required and 6 off-street parking spaces, including 1 handicap parking space, are proposed. A minimum drive aisle of 24 feet is required and 22 feet is proposed. 12th Avenue is a one-way street in a westerly direction. On-street parking is provided along this street. Residential apartment construction is permitted within the redevelopment area. A mixture of different types of residential units is encouraged. The Planning Board should determine whether the land area of this parcel is suitable for the number and type of the apartment units proposed. It shall be the responsibility of the applicant and/or the preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating that the plan has been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. This proposal is in the Wrigley Park section of the city within the 4th Ward Development Plan. The area is zoned residential with neighborhood commercial areas located in some corner intersections. 12th Avenue and the surrounding area is predominantly a multifamily residential area. There are a wide range of dwelling types from 2-family, 2-story structures to 4-story apartment buildings, as well as a 5-story senior apartments. Vacant lots and dwellings in this spur are being rehabilitated and new housing is being constructed in the area. The Planning Board has approved several applications along 12th Avenue. Some recent ones include 78 through 80 12th Avenue to construct a new 3-story residential building with a total of 5 units approved on March 8, 2021. 197 through 199 12th Avenue to remove the fire damaged building on Lot 26 and construct a 3.5-story residential building on Lots 26 and 27 for a total of 10 residential units. In conclusion, the applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $1,800,000. The applicant should incorporate the design elements contained within the 4th Ward Development Plan on the side and within the building. That concludes my review for this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farzboud. Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Madam Chair, we're ready for our first witness.
Can I ask you first how many witnesses you have this evening?
There will be 2 witnesses, our site architect and our site planner.
Okay.
If needed, a representative of the owner is here with us on the call just in case we need any questions answered by a representative of the owner.
And I see him. Okay, good. All right, please call your first witness.
Yes, Ned Evans, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record, please.
Matthew Evans, architect, 470 Chamberlain Ave, Paterson, New Jersey.
I assume Mr. Evans' qualifications are allowed by the board?
Yes, we recognize him as an expert witness. Please continue.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, tell us what the parameters are of this application.
Okay, let me see if I can share this. Can you see the drawings?
You got it.
Yes,
Okay.
very tiny.
All right, we'll zoom in. So basically what we have on the sheet S1, we have the existing improvements in building have previously been demolished. It's a vacant lot now. We have a new 3-story residential building. We have basically it's at the lot line matching the other structures along 12th Avenue. We have a 14-foot curb cut for the vehicular entrance, and then we have the main entrance to the building along the front on 12th Avenue. Going to the rest of the sheet, S1 basically shows the zoning data, site location, and some site improvement standards for this site. It's a 50 by 100 parcel. It's 5,000 square feet. The showing going to the next sheet would be the floor plans, architectural. What we've done, looking at the first floor plan, we have the overhead door for the vehicles. It's a shared driveway, and basically the ordinance looking at a 12-foot curb cut maximum for this development. We have basically 14 feet, and we have a 12-foot wide entrance to this garage. We have 6 parking spaces. The garage is 2,822 square feet. It's a private garage, so it would be used for the handicap parking and the residents of the building only. Therefore, it's a low intensity garage. It's private, and we have bike storage in the back. The handicap accessible unit on the ground floor, which meets the minimum square footage. Closer to a 1-bedroom size unit. It's almost 600 square feet, but it's a large handicap unit for the main floor. We have a main lobby, refuse and recycling, which is accessible from the hallway and also to the side yard. And then we have the sprinkler room, mailbox, and package area. We have main fire stair in the front of the building, and then we also have a second means of egress to the rear, which would give us our second egress. The building will be fully sprinklered with fire sprinkler throughout. The fire rated construction, and it would have security cameras throughout the public areas that would be connected to the City of Paterson Public Safety and Department for the building. The second floor and third floor plan are identical, and they're all 1-bedroom units, and they all meet the minimum requirement of 600 square feet for going from 604 square feet to 660 square feet. So those are large, open, living, dining areas with all have laundry rooms for the units, walk-in closets for the bedrooms. So they have a nice layout, contemporary layout for the units. Then we also have a roof plan which has roof amenity space, and that is shared with the utilities on the roof, and there'll be a protective parapet that it encloses this rooftop terrace for the tenants, and it'll meet the code for safety. So there'll be no at least 4 feet high around those areas. So that rooftop terrace is 2,068 square feet, and that would be the plans. We should also show the sign detail for the incoming egress of the vehicles. Then we have the 12th Avenue elevation on the elevation sheet. So what we have is a mix of materials and window sizes, large windows, different 2-color stucco decorative finish. We have brick and a large glass entry for the lobby, and a nice crown molding which surrounds the top of the building. So we broke that up also on the front facade. And the right side is a little more simplistic, but we have large windows for the units on that. And then we have the left side is similar to the right. And we're showing how those on the top, how those mechanical units and also that terrace area is protected by a wall on the perimeter, and as the rear has more simple stucco finish and large windows for those apartments. So basically that's the proposal. It's 11 units with 1 on the first floor and 5 one-bedrooms above on each floor.
Mr. Evans, you know this is in the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. You have done a number of redevelopment projects in the 4th Ward, and you know the 4th Ward and you know these streets. Could you testify whether this new building is going to fit in to the fabric and design of the 4th Ward in this area?
Yes, this we've done a lot of different types of buildings in the 4th Ward, so it's been a mix of low and medium density housing, and we're basically designing custom buildings for each of these lots, varying them a little bit to give them aesthetic character throughout the neighborhood, and it fits in with the scale and the density. That's what we designed it for this neighborhood, and we've been successful in doing that in the past, and also trying to keep that design element going.
You have heard the staff report, and the staff report enunciates several bulk variances. Can this building be built in its present form and configuration without these bulk variances being adopted by the board?
Well, to fit in with the area and to provide the parking, amenity space, and the fire separation, we are looking for relief on some of those, and I don't think it negatively impacts it, but Mr. Williams will be able to elaborate on that.
But from a architectural viewpoint, are we saying that we can't build this without these bulk variances in play?
Yes.
So we have to have them in order to make this work on this site.
Yes.
Thank you. Those are the questions I would have of this witness, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to call your next witness, please.
Mr. Williams, please.
Matt, can you take your, thank you.
Please there.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I most certainly do.
State your full.
Evening, Madam Court Reporter, Madam Secretary, Madam Chair, Commissioners all. My name is George Weedle Williams with an SWILLIAMS, representing the Nishwing Group, headquartered at 105 Grove Street, Suite number 3.
And we accept him as an expert witness. Thank you so
Madam
much.
Chair.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, could you please tell us of the planning parameters of this application?
Yes, it's hard to follow Mr. Evans and the board planner. They went through all of the details of the project, which leaves me with not much less left to do other than the proofs. I would begin by saying we concur with the board planner's recitation of the requested reliefs. There are several bulk and area deviations from the strict application of the redevelopment plan for this site, and I can go through those briefly. Just for the record, again, this is 98-112th Avenue, known as Block 3515, Lot number 2, in the RA2 district of the 4th Ward redevelopment area. What I'd like to do before going to proofs is very quickly share a basic exhibit just to give some context to the remainder of my presentation. Bear with me 1 second. Hope I got the right one. Bear with me 1 more minute. For board council, this is our second exhibit for this application, or maybe first. It's a group of images taken from the land use documents in Paterson and or by I and my staff in the field.
Mr. Williams, all I see is your, I guess it's the cover to your presentation?
Cover sheet.
Yes. Oh, there's only one page. There it is.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Okay. So commissioners, this is, as I mentioned, just an exhibit to give context. You all know the area as well as, if not better than I, but just for a bit more context, and your board planner also captured several images in her report. The first image, slide number 2, is just an aerial view of the site, indicating the subject property in the highlighted or shaded yellow, and just making note that it is close to, it's in the city's Wrigley Park neighborhood.
Madam, we could have all of Mr. Williams' exhibits introduced as to A1, and we'll supply hard copy to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll ask the board secretary to confirm later, but I believe they were submitted, so we should be okay. If additional copies are needed, just let me know.
Yeah, if you could, George, mark it.
Yeah, I got them.
And,
Yes, I received them.
oh, great.
A1. So slide number 2 is just a section of the zoning map taken from the redevelopment plan. It just indicates the subject property in the shaded white area as being, as we mentioned earlier, in the RA2 district of the 4th Ward redevelopment area. Slide number 4 is just a frontal view of the existing development on the site. You can see that it's in a state of disrepair, currently fenced in, and that is will of course be demolished and make way for the new construction of the development that Matt Evans just outlined for the commissioners. Slide number 5 is just a capture of another development in the site. You heard your board planner mention that there are several multifamily buildings. I would just go a bit further and say that the land development pattern in this area is a bit mixed. You've got multifamily like the one shown here, and then you've got 2 and 3 family homes, and there's really no continuity to the land development pattern in this area. But since this is a 5-story building, I thought it worth sharing an image of the Rising Dove Senior Housing Complex. Slide number 6 is a photograph of the property adjacent to the subject site. This is at 102 12th Avenue. This is a 3-story multifamily residential property also located in the RA2 district.
And that would be representative of an older architectural form in the area.
That is correct. Similar scale, but older architectural period and design. And Mr. Rubin stole my thunder, segued into a more modern architectural design, but similar scale, is a property at 113 12th Avenue. Again, giving a sense of the land development pattern in this area, and as well as an example of what has been approved recently by this board in the area. Finally, slide number 8 is a photo of the other type of housing typology I mentioned, also a multifamily dwelling. You can see the 6 mailboxes here. This is at 130 12th Avenue, also an RA2 district, and it appears to be a 6-family apartment building of 3 stories. So again, commissioners, you know the area. Just to give you a sense of what the land development pattern is in this area, and showing how the proposal by the applicant, as described by Mr. Evans, would fit in nicely and advance the objectives of the redevelopment area for the 4th Ward.
And Mr. Williams, could we just touch on, if we can, the variances which are requested, and make a brief discussion on what a C2 flexible variance is and why we're using it in this application?
Certainly. As the commissioners know, there are 2 forms or contexts for deviations from the strict application of your bulk and area code. And it's the C1 traditional C variance, which requires a showing of a hardship. That hardship typically categorized as unique shape, size, and topography of the site. The other is the flexible or C2 context, and that allows the board to consider the deviations from your bulk and area standards in terms of if the benefits outweigh the detriments, if the purposes of zoning are advanced, if you relieve, and last but not least, that there's no detriment to the public good or impairment to the zone plan. For the testimony of Mr. Evans, he gave you the details of the property. I'm going to suggest that the C2 would be most appropriate for each of the deviations from the bulk and area standards. In my professional opinion, if you were to grant the requested deviations, they would all advance the purposes of zoning, and I'll talk about why we're aggregating those in a minute. The first purpose of zoning to be advanced would be subsection A, and that is to create appropriate space for appropriate land uses. It is the first purpose of zoning under the municipal land use law. It's a bit of a catch-all, but in my professional opinion, it is appropriate, particularly in the context of redevelopment planning, because it does advance the objectives of your redevelopment plan and provide for infill development that makes for a better community by reducing or eliminating the conditions of blight, which is good for the health and morals and welfare of a community. Subsection J is to prevent sprawl. That is appropriate in this case because infill development in redevelopment areas takes advantage of existing urban infrastructure and is a deterrent to sprawl where that infrastructure does not exist. So by advancing the purposes of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, subsection J and this application would be advanced as well. Finally, subsection I is to create a positive visual environment and show good civic design. Mr. Evans' testimony underscores why that would be advanced if you granted our relief. He looked at the site, both in terms of the building design. He talked about the rooftop amenity, the fenestration, the facade development, but also how this site could be properly designed to advance your redevelopment plan goals and objectives, even with deviations from some of your bulk and area standards. And I should pause and say each of those deviations is relatively small or de minimis. Lastly, the special reasons for purposes of zoning can be the advancement of a state policy. This board has heard me opine in the past that the New Jersey policy for smart growth would also be advanced if you were to grant this application. And as this board knows, smart growth policy includes developing dense, compact development, making neighborhoods more walkable. And whenever you remove an eyesore like the one on the screen today and fill in those spaces with the kind of development that's proposed in this application, you create more walkable communities. So under Anfuso v. Sealy, it'd be my opinion that if you granted the relief sought today, you would also advance that smart growth policy. Finally, commissioners, there's no detriment to the public good if you were to grant these reliefs. Many of the deviations are similar to the deviations in the surrounding areas. Why we show some of the pictures like the picture of the property to the immediate left of our site in the picture on the screen, and it has very similar build out on its lot to what's being proposed today. No impairment to the zone plan, which is the land use element of your master plan. In fact, if you were to grant these reliefs, you would advance several goals and objectives of your master plan. Finally, it's the parking relief, also cognizable under the C2 relief, in my opinion, for all the reasons mentioned for the bulk and area deviations. The same would apply to the parking, certainly subsection I and the good civic design aspect of subsection I as outlined by Mr. Evans. I would just go further on parking and suggest that this applicant has a lot of experience developing similar building typologies in the Fourth Ward redevelopment area, as captured in your board planners report and reiterated by Mr. Evans. And because of that, they have a great deal of empirical data and experience with what the real parking demand is for this type of development in the Fourth Ward redevelopment area. Based on that empirical data, it's my professional opinion that the real parking demand for this site will be met by the supply that's offered on site. There's a court case called Wonky v. Obsequian that suggests that when boards are considering parking variances like this one, and this is applicable under both the residential site improvement standard and for C variances, that the board can consider what the real or industry parking demand is for a site as or in comparison with the strict application of the code. And so I would submit to the board that based on this applicant's experience in the immediate vicinity and for properties or projects that were recently approved with similar parking ratios, that the board could comfortably grant this parking variance as well. I would just conclude by saying that the Paterson Master Plan understood that this might be an issue, and there is a section that I will read very briefly that supports this type of parking relief. According to the Paterson Master Plan, it quotes section 500-7.3 of the Land Development Ordinance should be amended. In the next paragraph, it suggests that, quote, while insufficient off-street parking can be problematic, extensive or excessive off-street parking has its own negative consequences as well. By excessive, it means, to my understanding, that having more on-site parking supply than is really needed is excessive and not necessarily to the good of the community. It goes on to say, that quote, providing off-street parking can be expensive and even cost prohibitive for a developer, and it also uses space that could potentially be put to another productive use. In the application before you, commissioners, Mr. Evans has designed the building and the site to make the property as productive as possible. So for all those reasons, in my professional opinion, the board could, and probably should grant the requested release both for the bulk and area deviations as well as the parking variance.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Those are the two witnesses. Those are the two witnesses that we have. In the event the board needs anything further from the owner, we have the owner's representative. But for the direct testimony, those are the two witnesses we are presenting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubin. I'm going to open it up to the public now. If there's anyone in the public that has any questions of either one of the two witnesses this evening, Mr. Williams or Mr. Evans, please call in at 973-321-1579. The meeting ID is 711-680-001. And I'm gonna allow 2 minutes for call-ins, 3 minutes for questions. Okay, Madam Secretary, right now, is there anyone on the line? Can I go out to our commissioners?
No, you can continue with the commissioners. We have no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you. So then at this time, I'm gonna open it up to the commissioners. Commissioners, do you have any questions of either Mr. Williams or Mr. Evans at this time? Commissioners, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Mr. Guido, can you okay, thank you.
Okay, somebody has a question? Commissioner Figueroa, go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, as far as the concrete apron, do you have an illustration on that with like the sidewalk, with the cherry trees? Where would that go exactly, if you could show again?
Maybe, Mr. Evans could do that?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Evans.
Okay, let me see if I can share again. Okay, so the 12th Avenue, basically there's 50 feet frontage on the site. We show a 14-foot curb cut. This is all gonna be, it's all concrete with the exception of the two wells for the cherry trees in the front. And then we have a drop curb and the rest would be sidewalk, and then it cuts in a little bit where our entrance is, so the front would all be improved to match the existing street.
So that's the apron, per se. I wasn't familiar with the term.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. So.
I just wasn't familiar with the term.
Oh, the detail? It's like let me see if I have the detail on here. Give me 1 second. So we have the concrete sidewalk, and then looking at the detail. 1 second here. So here's what the apron would look like on this detail. That's looking at it.
And it has an indentation going in, right?
Right, so when the cars come in, it's basically a drop curb along the driveway. And then it tapers up 3 feet on each side and then matches the sidewalk, the new sidewalk.
Okay.
So there's a plan also of that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners? Any other questions of either of these witnesses?
No questions for those witnesses. Is the owner coming on?
If you want to speak with Mr. Andrew Reed, yes, we could put him on.
Okay.
Do you have a question for him?
On the call.
Okay, please swear him in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Can't hear you.
I think you're muted. I think he's muted.
He's a very quiet guy.
Well, thank you to the chairman, to mute your mic.
If you say yes,
Yes, I do.
state your full name for the record, please.
Andy Reid, Director of Development for JCM Investors.
Thank you.
Mr. Reed, how are you today?
I'm fine, Commissioner. How are you?
All right. My question is about where this is located. The open space for the area. How much do you have over there in the back?
It's on the roof.
Oh, we have a rooftop.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We have a rooftop amenity that exceeds the requirements. I believe it's approximately 3,000 square feet, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Evans, if you put the plan, or he can tell you directly what it is, but I believe it exceeds the requirement based on the ordinance.
Yeah, I saw the space. I was wondering, what are your plans to put up there in that area?
I mean, if you want, I was gonna plan, like up there, you'll see it's like a patio area, it have like lounge chairs and, things like that, so tenants can go up there, they can relax, it'll be, like a proper wall so that it will have a height of, with the wall itself about 42 inches, and we will add an additional like 3-foot railing, so it would be like from top of the railing to the floor of the, rooftop mini area, be like almost 7 feet in height.
All right, that's good. And the lighting up there, I didn't see that on there. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, and, if you don't mind, Matt, you wanna share the plan again? That there's definitely will be lighting up in that area.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You might have it. I didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. I just didn't see
Yeah,
it.
well, I'm just asking, if you want, Mr. Evans could, put the cameras up here and show to you and explain to you,
Okay.
So we have, basically, we're gonna have lighting throughout the, area for this. And it would be the perimeter lighting of the area, along with the walking surfaces would all be, have lighting for when it gets dark out. So it would be all in accordance with, the lighting code, for the amount of light that we need.
Are those the light spot? Are those the spots that I see on there, or what is that?
No, there's no delineation, but we have along the perimeter would all have lighting. We normally don't show the lighting for the, for the architectural elements, but it will, once we do the construction drawings, we have all the lighting up there for the tenants.
All right, thank you.
And Commissioner, if you don't mind, like, we see there also, it's like planned up there, so it'd be like when you're on the rooftop, it's almost like you're sitting in like a park area. Then on the left side there, you see the, air handlers for the, central air. And
Right.
it'll be hidden from the public view as well from if you're in the lounge area and the rooftop amenity area.
All right, thank you.
It should be noted, that these are designed, this one and others that we have had for the board, are designed for the tenants only. This is a tenant amenity. It's not forever, it's just for those that live on the site.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any other commissioners?
Yes, me.
Alonzo? Go ahead.
Yes. You say how many parkings are you putting in there?
6.
We're gonna have 6 off-site parking. Off-street parking, right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Commissioners, anything else? All right, seeing no other questions from any other commissioners, hearing none, I'm gonna ask Mr. Rubin to summarize. Do we have any callers, Madam Secretary, before I move on?
No, Madam Chair, no.
Okay, thank you. Then I'm gonna ask Mr. Rubin to summarize, please.
Yes, quite simply, this is an application that fits into the Fourth Ward redevelopment plan. It fits perfectly within what the master plan and the governing body have wanted for the Fourth Ward, and this is part and parcel of the future of the Fourth Ward as to redevelopment. And we respectfully ask the board to adopt a resolution to allow this to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Would any commissioner like to make a motion on this application? Yes, Commissioner Figueroa.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Me too.
Alright, give me 1 second. Can you bear with me 1 second?
Shirley? I can read it for you if you want. Oh, you have it?
No,
Okay.
I found it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on the application of Paterson Falls Realty Group LLC, 175 Broadway, Paterson, New Jersey, 07505.
No, it's 98-100 12th Avenue.
Okay, I opened the wrong one. I mean,
Paterson Falls Realty LLC 98-112th Avenue, Block 3515, Lot 2.
okay, I apologize, I was reading.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
Alright, so, I move that the board attorney prepare a resolution granting site plan approval, bulk variances, city engineer, HEP Soil Conservation District.
Okay, Mr. Acquaviva, we cover everything?
I don't think there were any conditions,
I did
right?
not hear anything,
No, I didn't have a condition. No.
Okay.
I didn't hear any either, just wanna make sure we covered everything. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner, I've lost my mind, Fisher. I've lost my mind.
No,
My
I've read
commissioner.
today myself.
Yeah, I know. I've lost it many times today. Okay, Mr. Fisher, Commissioner Fisher. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioners, Commissioner Cleaves,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Yes.
Commissioner Liranzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Santana,
Yes.
Commissioner Figueroa,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Northrup.
Yes.
This application has been granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members of the board.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so, our next application is for JCM Investors, 1012 LLC, 236-238 Harrison Street, Block 320912. I'm sorry, who's talking? Sorry. Okay, so, Mr. Rubin, are you representing this applicant?
Yes, Madam Chair, Michael Rubin, 1330 Hamburg Turnpike, Wayne Township. We are the attorneys for JCM Investors 1012 LLC for this application at 236-238 Harrison Street in the city of Paterson.
Thank you. All right, so JCM Investors on a vacant lot, 3,500 square foot lot, the applicant proposes to construct a new 3-story residential building with a total of 5 units. First floor proposes a stairwell, a package area, and a sprinkler room, a 1,156 square foot 3-bedroom unit, and 2 separate 2-car garages. The second floor proposes 2 3-bedroom units of 1,150 square feet and 1,151 square feet. Third floor proposes 2 3-bedroom units of 1,158 and 1,160 square feet. This proposal is within the RA-2 zone of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. Variances are requested for the following. Lot area as a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet is required and 3,500 square feet exist. Rear yard setback as the size of 5,000 feet is required, as a minimum of 20 feet is required and 7 feet is proposed. A maximum building coverage as 60% building coverage is permitted and 67% building coverage is proposed. Open space as 750 square feet of open space is required and 205 square feet of open space is proposed. And parking of 10 off-street parking spaces are required and 4 off-street parking spaces are proposed. It requires site plan approval and bulk variances, and this is the first appearance before us. Ms. Fosbood, would you like to
Sure.
give us your review?
Yes. Property taxes and surcharges are current. Matthew Florio, providing an address of 175 Broadway in Paterson, is the sole stockholder of JCM Investors 1012 LLC. The property survey prepared by James Dika of P2 Land Surveying, revised on July 28, 2021, indicates that Block 3209, Lot 2 has frontage of 70 feet on Harrison Street, a rear lot line of 70 feet, and northern and southern lot lines that measure 50 feet each. Lot 2 is a vacant lot, and it's located on the southern side of Harrison Street. The parcel has area of 3,500 square feet, or 0.08 acres. An existing 2-story residential dwelling is located to the west, and a vacant lot is to the east of the proposal. Also, a 16-story high-rise senior residence is located to the north of the subject property. Evans Architects has prepared a 3-page architectural plans revised on March 3, 2022. Drawing S-1 indicates details for the sanitary sewer connection, the vertical curb and roadway pavement, the seepage pit, the lighting, the water connection for fire service, the concrete sidewalk, the depressed driveway, the water service connection, and the roof later overflow. Additionally, the plan indicates the 200-foot radius map, the zoning ordinance data, and the proposed site plan. The proposed site plan indicates that the proposed building is to cover 67% of the lot and has an approximate dimension of 40 feet in width and 59.8 feet in length. The building is proposed to be 3 feet from the Harrison Street front property line, 5.1 feet from the left and right property lines, and 7 feet from the rear property line. The site plan also indicates a 205-foot open landscaped area, 5 screened condenser units, and the refuse and recycle area at the rear yard. 3 street trees are to be located along the new concrete sidewalk. 2 separate 2-car garages are located on each side of the building's main entrance, and 2 18-foot curb cuts provide the vehicles access to the parking garages. In addition, a proposed fence measuring approximately 4.5 feet high is installed at the corners of the building, and it extends along the left, right, and rear property lines, enclosing the side and rear yards. A note on the plan indicates that the entire site and site perimeter is to be equipped with reduced security throughout public areas and site lighting along the traveled public way and parking area. Surveillance cameras are to connect to the City of Paterson Police Department system. The placement of the security camera and the site lighting are indicated on the proposed site plan. Drawing SK-1, titled as Architectural Floor Plans, indicates the building floor plans as well as the details for the proposed fence and the refuse and recycle shed. The ground floor plan indicates 2-car garages accommodating 2 vehicles and 1 electric vehicle make-ready charging station each. The building's package area, the staircase, the utility room, and the 3-bedroom unit are also indicated on this floor. The 3-bedroom unit is 1,156 square feet, and it contains a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a laundry room, a mechanical room, and a full bathroom. There are 2 separate entrances for the building. One entrance provides access to the ground floor 3-bedroom handicap unit, and the other one provides access to the upper floor's residential units through an internal staircase. The second floor plan indicates an internal staircase and 2 3-bedroom units, which are 1,151 square feet and 1,150 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a laundry and a mechanical closet, and 2 full bathrooms. The third floor plan also indicates an internal staircase and 2 3-bedroom units, which are 1,158 square feet and 1,160 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a laundry and a mechanical closet, and 2 full bathrooms. All the residential units meet or exceed the minimum floor area requirement. Drawing SK-2 is the building elevations. The front elevation view from Harrison Street indicates a 31-foot in height, 3-story building. The front elevation indicates a brick veneer and an aluminum canopy for the first floor, and the brick veneer and vertical metal panel facade with single and double casement windows for the second and third floors. 3 street trees are also indicated on this elevation plan. The rear elevation view of the building indicates a horizontal siding facade with single, double, and triple casement windows and 5 proposed condenser units on this side. The right and left side elevation plans indicate a horizontal siding and aluminum canopy for the building. No windows are shown on the right and left side elevation plans. The exterior door to the northwestern parking garage and the new gas and electric services are shown on the right side elevation plan. This is a flat-roofed building. The intent of the RA-2 residential district of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan is to permit a more intensive residential use of land with various types of dwellings. The surrounding existing dwellings consist of older multi-family dwellings of 2 and 3 stories in height. The 16-story Dr. Norman Cotton residence building is across from the subject property. Within the RA-2 district of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, there are other examples of both new and recently approved multi-family residential buildings that have replaced older structures that have either been vacant and abandoned or on long vacant lots. Some new multi-family buildings along Harrison Street that have been granted approvals are recent examples of the neighborhood redevelopment. Variances are requested for the following. Lot area as a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet is required, and 3,500 square feet exists. Rear yard setback as a minimum of 20 feet is required, and 7 feet is proposed. Maximum building coverage as 60% building coverage is permitted, and 67% building coverage is proposed. Open space at 750 square feet of open space is required, and 205 square feet of open space is proposed. And parking as 9 off-street parking spaces, including 1 electric vehicle charging station, are required, and 4 off-street parking spaces are proposed. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a variance for 5 parking spaces. As this is a redevelopment area, the planning board must determine whether the granting of the requested variances to allow the number of dwelling units proposed by the applicant is appropriate for the lot and the immediate surrounding area. Paterson Street is a one-way street in a westerly direction. Most of the older dwellings are built to the front property line, and they lack off-street parking. On-street parking is observed along Harrison Street. It shall be the responsibility of the applicant and or the preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating that the plans have been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. This proposal is in the Wrigley Park section of the city within the 4th Ward Redevelopment Plan. The area is zoned residential with neighborhood commercial areas located in some corner intersections. In conclusion, the applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $750,000. The applicant should incorporate the design elements contained within the 4th Ward Redevelopment Plan on the site and within the building. The planning board has approved other construction proposals along Harrison Street. Some include 242 through 244 Harrison Street to construct a new 3-story residential building with a total of 6 units on October 5, 2020. 198 through 200 Harrison Street to construct a new 5-story residential building with a total of 20 units on February 10, 2022. This was the staff review for this project.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, I would call Matt Evans as our first witness for this application. If you could.
And how many witnesses do you have this evening on this
There
application?
will be 2 witnesses in the event the owner's representative is required. He is also on the call.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
You raise your right hand, do you swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
State your full name for the record, please.
Matthew Evans, architect, 470 Chamberlain Ave, Paterson, New Jersey.
We accept him as an expert witness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Evans, could you please advise the board of the architectural features of this proposal?
Okay, so basically what we've done here is we designed a similar building on 266 Governor Street, which was submitted to this board and approved. The lot for that one was a little smaller than this one, but this one we've designed the structure to fit on this Harrison Street and fit in with the neighborhood. Go back to the building here. So we have 2 curb cuts basically for the 2 garages, and we've cited the building where they face the front of the building, and then we have the middle of the building. And the rear is on the first floor would be a handicap accessible 3-bedroom apartment, and then there's 4 more 3-bedroom apartments above. So it's a 5-family in total. And we've set it, given the setbacks in the back, the rear, and the front, to give adequate light and air and space around the building. Going to the next sheet, sheet SK1, showing the ground floor plan. As you can see, shaded in the back is the apartment, and we have a main entrance to the first floor, and also main entrance, mailboxes, package area for the upper floors and that's accessible through the front of the building. Then upstairs is the second floor plan showing the 2 apartments on each side of the building, 3 bedrooms. They all have their own separate mechanical systems, central air, and laundry facilities within the unit. And similar design for the top floor, which has large bathrooms, basically a 2-bathroom design. So it would, one of the bedrooms has a bathroom, and then there's a large shared bathroom for the rest of the dwelling unit. We have a large open floor plan for the living space, so the kitchen, dining, and living would all be open, and we have large windows to the rear, which allow light and ventilation for the units. So looking at the front elevation, we have a mix of materials. We have brick, vertical siding, and then we have large casement windows with transoms. So what we've done is we have large, high ceilings for all these apartments too. So it's 9-foot ceilings for each of the floors, which allows nice volume within the units too. And as mentioned also, the rear and side elevations are a little more simplistic based on not burning the street. So we've concentrated the aesthetic appeal on the street facade. And that is basically the proposal, what we're presenting today.
Thank you. And Mr. Evans, before these matters, and I'll ask you again, you know the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, you know what the 4th Ward is, you know the streets. Will this application from an architectural viewpoint fit into the fabric and design of the 4th Ward in this area?
Yes, it basically fits in. I mean, there's a lot. Some of the houses towards Jelsville Place are a little have denser, smaller lots, but this being has a large street frontage. It's a little bit different than the other lots, as you can see. I'll zoom in on the property. So we basically designed it for the lot. So as you can see, the lot has more frontage than depth. So I don't know what was there previously, but what we're proposing fits in with the redevelopment plan for the type of housing permitted.
And we noticed from the zoning characteristics from the city planner's graph that there are really very few bulk variances required. Can this application move forward with the kind of building that you're designing without these variances being approved?
Right. So the one was a pre-existing non-conforming, and we didn't address the open space specifically on this one because we're 2 blocks from Wrigley Park, which is basically a nice park to be. It's local and it's 2 blocks away, and so the other ones are basically. Mr. Williams will be able to elaborate a little bit more on some of those variances.
But we need them in order to create this building on this site.
Yeah, the site is only, I believe it's 50, let me see it.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Say your full name for the record, please.
Good evening again, Commissioners. My name is George Weedle Williams, representing Michelin Group at 105 Drew Street, Suite number 3 in Montclair.
And we accept him as an expert witness. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Can you give us the planning parameters of this application, please?
Yes, Counselor, I will, and I apologize to the Commissioners in advance. It's very similar to the testimony you just heard for a prior application. For the record, just to echo what your board planners plural had in their report, this property commonly known as 236-238 Harrison Street and identified in your municipal tax records as block 3209, lot number 2, vacant lot in your RA2 district of the Fourth Ward redevelopment area. I would submit that I agree with the recitation of release provided both by your board planners and captured in Mr. Evans' zoning table. They include the minimum lot area, which is a pre-existing non-conforming condition that we're not exacerbating. Minimum rear yard, 20-foot required, 7-foot proposed. Maximum building coverage, 60% is the maximum. We are proposing 67%. Minimum parking on site is 9 required. We are proposing 4. And finally, open space, 750 square feet is required. As you heard Mr. Evans just testified, we are proposing 205 square feet, and that's justified in part because of our proximity to the park. I'm glad Mr. Evans did mention that it's approximately 2 blocks, a little 2 to 2.5 blocks away. With that, I'll just show an exhibit again, very similar to the exhibit format that was used in the prior application. It is a compilation of images taken from your land use documents and or images captured by IMI team when we were out in the field.
I would just ask if the secretary already has them, or if not, we'll provide a hard copy of the same.
I believe this board secretary does, but I'll allow her to confirm
Yes.
if she's.
Yes, I do.
Mr. Aquaviva, I will mark this A1 as well.
That's fine, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, sir. Going through this relatively quickly just to give context. The first slide, slide number 2, is the aerial view of the site, very similar to what's in your board planners report. Ours is shaded in the gray, identifying our site as an undersized lot in this section of Harrison Street. Next slide, very similar to the last, is a section of the zoning map taken from the redevelopment plan, identifying our property in the taupe color and confirming that it is indeed in the RA2 zone district. Slide number 4, perhaps the most impactful image in this exhibit is the site as it exists today. You can see it's a vacant lot strewn with a bit of debris and not contributing to the vibrancy of the neighborhood at all. Slide number 5 is a capture of 24 Harrison Street. This is east of the project site, and this was recently approved by the planning board in September of 2020 for a 6 dwelling unit development with a 3-story building height, also in the same zone district, the RA2 zone district. Similar setbacks and parking supply is what's being proposed, whereas slide number 6 is a capture of 163 Rosa Parks Boulevard, again depicting how the land development pattern in this area, similar to the last application, is very varied. This is a much taller 14-story development for the Paterson Housing Authority, commonly referred to as the Dr. Norman Cotton residence. This is in the R2 district of the Fourth Ward redevelopment area as well. Then again, going back to the varied nature of the land development pattern in this area, slide number 7 captures 248 Harrison Street, which is also multifamily, but a lesser scale than what has been shown thus far. Also in the same zone district and with similar deviations from the bulk and area codes for this district. And that's the last slide for this exhibit. So going to the release, and again, I apologize in advance, very similar, almost exactly the same as the prior application. The only difference is the deviations, but the proofs will be the same. In my professional opinion, the C1 and C2 would be appropriate given the undersized nature of this lot and the orientation of the lot on this section of Harrison Street. But for the board's consideration, I would submit that the C2 context is most appropriate. And as I mentioned previously, in order to be granted relief under the C2 context, the flexible C, we have to demonstrate that if you grant our relief, purposes of zoning would be advanced. There would be no substantial detriment to the public good or impairment to the zone plan, and that the proposed development is a better zoning alternative than a strict application of your code. There are two court cases I would just submit for the board's consideration. One is the Pullen v. South Plainfield court case, which allows boards to look at each of the individual deviations from your bulk and area standards as a whole. Meaning if you think, or if we demonstrate that the application before you as a whole justifies the minor deviations from your strict application of your code, then you can grant the requested bulk and area release in total. And I'm going to submit that's most appropriate for this application based on what you heard in testimony from Mr. Evans a few moments ago, and how the overall design of this development advances the purpose of the redevelopment plan and improves the overall community, not just the site, in a way that justifies the release, and certainly in the context of the detriment, improves the community and the art of detriments. With that, I would submit to the board that the proofs, the purposes of zoning would be, again, subsection A, which is the first purpose of zoning, appropriate land uses in appropriate locations that advance the health, welfare of the surrounding area. Whatever, I think in terms of redevelopment planning, the intent of the redevelopment plan is to remove conditions of blight. And so in that context, the proposed development on this vacant property, removing a vacant property and eyesore, would improve the health, welfare, and morals of this neighborhood and advance your redevelopment plan goals and objectives. Subsection I, as you recall, is the positive visual environment and good civic design. I always rest on the testimony of Mr. Evans in these applications because he goes through so diligently both the design focus for the building, the fenestration, the materials, the rooftop, sometimes rooftop amenities, but also the good civic design, how he was able to take an undersized lot in the RA2 district and design it in such a way that it is functional and productive. So for all those reasons, I would submit that subsection I would be advanced if you were to approve our requested release from the strict application of the bulk and area standards. Finally, as you heard me mention in the prior application, the advancement of a state policy can also be considered a special reason or positive criteria, just as in the prior application. In this application, smart growth principles, the concept of developing compact, dense development, compatible land uses, which I would submit to the board this is, and creating more walkable communities. Again, when you remove substandard properties, abandoned properties, vacant lots, and replace them with quality infill development, you make neighborhoods more walkable by introducing residents that care about the neighborhood, but also by connecting the fabric of the land development. In my opinion, notwithstanding any of these deviations, there would be no substantial detriment to the public good. I would go a step further and say, based on my review of the application and hearing of Matt Evans' testimony, there will only be improvements to the public good, and I've touched upon those a few moments ago. Similarly, no substantial impairment to the zone plan, and on the whole, in my opinion as a professional planner, if you were to grant this proposal with its deviations from the bulk and area standards for RA2 district, as a whole, this would be a better zoning alternative than a strict application of your code. That leaves the parking variance, and as in the case of the prior application, the C2 context would be most appropriate for your consideration of our relief as described a moment ago and captured in your board planner's report. Certainly subsection I, the visual environment and good civic design with a focus on the civic design, how Matt Evans and his design team were able to provide what I'm going to characterize as adequate parking supply on site, and I'll talk about adequacy in a moment, in a way that is functional on site, so that's the good civic design portion. Whether you look at the parking relief in the context of residential site improvement standard as a de minimis exception or C variance, there is a court case that is appropriate. It's the Valenti v. Obsequian court case, which speaks to the appropriateness of relief when it can be demonstrated that the actual parking demand for a given land use or area is less than that of the strict application of the code or in the RSIS, the requirements under RSIS. Based on this applicant's experience and empirical data in specifically the Fourth Ward redevelopment area, you will hear or have heard Mr. Reed testify that the actual parking demand is more than satisfied by what's being supplied on this site. So for all those reasons, and given the master plan's acknowledgement, the Paterson 2014 master plan's acknowledgement that there should be consideration given to parking reliefs based on the redevelopment planning in Paterson, I would submit to this board that the proposed parking supply on the site is adequate and that the deviation from your standard could be comfortably granted either under the C2 context or the RSIS standard for parking. Madam Chair, that would conclude my direct testimony, but I am available for any questions the board and public might have.
Mr. Williams, in your professional opinion, you agree that this application fits within the spirit and fabric of what the planning board and the municipal council of the city of Paterson have determined this site to be a redevelopment site? Do you believe that this fits into that category?
Yes, Councilor, that's a resounding yes. I was trying to be brief, so I didn't do my normal introductory comments about the goals and objectives of the redevelopment plan and master plan. But yes, to your point, it fits squarely within the goals, objective, and intent of the redevelopment plan for this area, specifically the removal of conditions of blight, now we call it in need of redevelopment, the vacant properties like this one, which are an eyesore, abandoned properties, deteriorating structures, and more importantly, the infill of quality housing and or commercial. In this case, it's an infill housing or residential development, but yes, squarely within the four corners of the Fourth Ward redevelopment plan.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I would have, Madam Chair.
Okay, I am going to open it up to the public first, but I just have a quick question for Mr. Evans. I must have missed it. I know 750 square feet of open space is required and 205 square feet was proposed. Where are they putting that open space? I know you got, the park there 2 blocks away, but there's 205 square feet of open space is proposed, and I didn't see where it was going.
We have a rear yard, it's landscaped area in the back of the property. That would be That would be the limit of the
Okay.
open space.
All right, I missed that. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so at this time, I'm gonna open it up to the public, and if anyone has any questions of either Mr. Evans or Mr. Williams, please call in at 973-321-1579. The meeting ID is 711-680-001. I will allow 2 minutes for call-ins, okay, 3 minutes, for questions. And, Madam Secretary, are there any callers on the line at this moment? Can I move on to our commissioners?
You can move on, though we have no callers at this time.
Okay, good. So at this time, I'm gonna open it up to the commissioners. Commissioners, do you have any questions of either Mr. Williams or Mr. Evans? Or if we need be, go out to Andy Reid on this one.
No questions for me.
Questions, folks? None? No commissioners?
Just really quick, and you probably did cover this, but my computer was kind of going in and out. The facade, the building facade, what kind of, is it gonna be stucco combination?
The front will be a mix of materials. It's gonna be brick, and we have a vertical siding on it, and we also have, as I mentioned, large casement windows with transoms above. So, and it's gonna have 9-foot ceilings in the apartment. So there's a lot of
Wow, it's gonna be
high
nice.
ceilings.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'm gonna ask Mr. Rubin to please summarize.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, this is an application in the Fourth Ward redevelopment plan. We believe that it fits into the fabric and design and spirit of the redevelopment plan. And for all the reasons given by Mr. Evans and Mr. Williams, we most respectfully ask that the board approve this and grant a resolution in favor of allowing this matter to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, would any commissioner like to make a motion on this application? Commissioners?
I can, if you can read.
Yeah, Commissioner Fisher?
Yeah,
Want me to read it?
Yeah, because I don't have it on my screen here.
Okay, I can ask the Madam Secretary, can you have it in front of you? Can you read it? Otherwise I can, I'll just pull it up real quick.
Thank you. And there's no conditions, so it should be a
There
straight
wasn't
read.
any. No, there
Yeah,
wasn't.
straight read. Excuse the pun.
Okay, on the application of JCM 1012 LLC, 238 Harrison Street, lot 3209, lot 2. Commissioner Fisher wishes to move, to approve this application, and that the board attorney prepare a resolution granting bulk site plan, city engineer, HEP soil conservation. There were no conditions to be considered at the board's earliest opportunity.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, that's Commissioner Lorenzo, second it, roll call please.
Okay, commissioners, Commissioner Leaves,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Yes.
Commissioner Liranzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Santana,
Yes.
Commissioner Figueroa,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Northrop.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
This
Commissioners.
application has-
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair,
Alright.
members of the board. Thank you all.
Have a good evening, and the rest of the folks here, commissioners, please hang on, we have one resolution that we have to approve this evening.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone as well. Alright, don't go anywhere, don't go anywhere, commissioners. Alright, Mr. George, is Al going to read them? Read it? Al, are you gonna read
Yep.
this one tonight?
I can read it, sure.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Okay. On the applicant, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. on the application of Thor 297 Getty Avenue LLC for the property located at 217-297 Getty Avenue, Block 6701, Lot 2. The property being located in the IT Industrial Transition District of the Area 11 Rehabilitation Plan. And the applicant sought site plan approval on both variances to demolish the existing 733,000 square foot warehouse building on a lot area consisting of 16.92 acres and to construct a new one-story warehouse building of approximately 365,800 square feet along with associated site improvements. The board considered and approved this matter at its March 7th, 2022 special meeting. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Move.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Santana, seconded by, was that Commissioner Alonso?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Aquaviva, can you tell me the vote, sir?
Sure, Madam Secretary, I just lost it 1 second, let me get it back.
The Commissioner Udine, I saw him on there.
We have long resolution. We have, well, Chairman Udine is not, Acting Chairman Udine is not here, or Commissioner Omar is not here. We have Commissioner Cleaves. Madam Secretary, do you want to call the vote? I'll just give you the names.
That's what I want you to do, that's what I'm doing now.
Okay, Commissioner Cleaves, Commissioner Figueroa, Commissioner Lorenzo, and Commissioner Santana.
So Santana made the motion, Commissioner Alonso was second. You need the votes of the others, please.
Thank you. Commissioners,
Actually,
Commissioner
I'm
Cleaves?
sorry, Madam Secretary, I have it as, Madam Chair, I have it as Commissioner Figueroa making the motion, maybe I was wrong.
No, you're wrong.
No.
It was Commissioner Santana.
Commissioner Santana, okay, thank you.
And Commissioner,
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo is second. Okay, and, okay, so then we need the roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioner Cleaves,
Yes.
Commissioner Lorenzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Santana,
Yes.
and Commissioner Figueroa.
Yes.
This resolution has been memorialized and adopted, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and now, when is our next meeting?
We are scheduled for two special meetings on Wednesday, March 30th. Is that correct, Ms. Stenographer Lopez? You're gonna have a replacement since you'll be on vacation?
Is that true? Melinda, you have someone? No.
I'm sorry, I was on mute, yes.
Okay, you will, okay. So our next meeting is on the 30th, two special meetings. And with that, okay, I hope to see everyone then. Oh, yes, Commissioner Fisher, go ahead.
Yes, I will not be on that meeting on the 30th. I have a prior engagement on that.
Okay, all right, okay, understood.
And,
So I'm gonna make a motion, you'll be there, you won't be there either?
I may be moving that day, so.
Oh, you're coming by me, okay, that's right. Okay, well, whatever, we'll figure it out, hopefully we'll have a quorum, I hope we do, because we have two special meetings and we need to get these done. So, right now, I will, I'm gonna close the meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, good, okay, have a good night, everyone, and hopefully I'll see everybody, most of you on the 30th.
God bless.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Be safe and happy St. Patrick's Day, stay sober, guys. Bye-bye.
And then, bye.